Well, hello. Today we're going to be talking all about the Dovecote. As you can see up there, there we go. We're going to pop up there and I'm going to show you what it's like. And it gives you an idea of the scale once you're up there, because it doesn't look very big until you actually get to the top of the tower scaffold and realise how much more there is. And then I've got some painting work to do outside on the exterior, and then hopefully it's not long before we get the weather vane back on. And then we're going to be looking at getting the scaffold down, and it could be the final time the Dovecote has to be addressed. So fingers crossed, and hope you enjoy looking at the rest of the story. So this is the view looking down. Don't really do heights, not very impressed by that. You can see my feral outfit for today. I love my work clothes. That's where the old floor used to be. And then we're looking out here through the windows, the old openings for the doves. Then you go up to the actual glass which gave the light, and then it goes up, 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 up to the central peak. It's looking a little bit cobwebby. We had a little blue tit that used to pop in every day, and I used to let him out, but he's obviously been up here and made a bit of a mess. So this will all get cleaned up before we decide. But this is where I'm going out today. I'm going on the back side, the far north side if you like. It's always sunny though, so it doesn't make much difference. And I'm going to be painting just the extra bits that were added that are holding the glaze panels. Here we have one of the very first photos. I'd even got dark hair then, showing the Dovecote when she's all boarded up. She's a she, by the way. I don't know why she got called that, but she is. And here you can see the first time those boards came off, looking through where the doves would have originally come through. That was a really exciting day. You can see in this one all the little, just dropping down there to see where the wood's gone. And those are the nesting boxes where obviously the doves would have come in and they would have harvested or collected the eggs on a daily basis. This is the top of the Dovecote where you can see that the lead slid down, and it's definitely looking a bit the worse for wear, but the slates were still in very good condition. And this was an interesting day. The slates came off and the flies came out. We found nests, flies, you name it. But I think it took 2 hours before all the dormant flies went that had been underneath the slates. But this bit was the most exciting because it actually shows the date of when it was actually made. It's very hard to see actually in the photographs, but it's August the 15th, 1899, and it's signed by the gentleman that actually made it. So I was really excited to find this. Not so excited when I started seeing the rest of the work that was involved. Luckily, Steve the joiner was on hand, and he was helping one to stop the pigeons getting back in because they seem to want to spend their life inside, but equally they wanted to be able to keep it watertight because this was getting into late October, beginning of November, and all we seemed to get was rain. Luckily, Steve was on hand and he was coming regularly every day to help. And it was his idea to use some of the old boards to replace some of the wood that was just too far gone, basically. And I spent my days, every day up there, sanding, cleaning, and trying my hardest to get things looking ready, or if you like, for the glazing. This shows the new wood that Steve put in. By doing that, those new boards, it made like a section where, if you like, where he was able to push it back up, and then those cross members that we've just seen, he was able to take out again. I didn't explain that very well. The cross members had been put in because they were trying to hold the Dovecote up and stop it from going forward, but they'd actually gone through the rotten floor. So they were very woodworm. At that time I was able to get the woodworm people in, and they treated the whole of the property. Now this is actually showing the floor that was below the Dovecote, and it had the strangest things up there. There was slates, there was tiles, there was all sorts of ramble, but there was a big pile of seashells as well. But you can see the Dovecote steps there leading through the hatch. But equally, the floor up there was very rotten, very wormy, and there's one of the crossbars that had gone through. And this was some of the stuff that we fetched down. There's me sanding, laying on my back, trying not to roll off. I did one day, shift position, went over and nearly fell off the side of the scaffold. So I learnt soon to stop doing that. And this is the underneath of the Dovecote where I spent many, many hours. Inside, outside, looking at the sky, chipping away, getting all the old putty out. But I loved it, and I'm terrified of heights, but the passion to get this Dovecote back to how, not just how it used to be, but bringing it forward into this century as well, just kept driving me forward to keep getting up there. Even when the wind, the rain and the hail was swirling around my head, I just loved it. I have loved every single minute of it. To see the cross section there, again, we had to work around that for quite a while till we knew that the structure was safe. That was quite interesting because I was balancing on top of the tallest step ladder I could get. I'd only got 2 positions it could go in where it wouldn't actually go through the rotten floor. So I was kind of twisting round to do that. You can still see the crossbars through there. Long days, but once you start to see it with a little bit of paint on it, it really starts to light up. And I absolutely love this. We've got the new mop stick on the sides there, ready for the slates to go back on. In this picture you'll see there's just the original spikes sticking out of the Dovecote. But then with a lot of help from my friends who made a part, we managed to get a weather vane back up there, showing the farrier taking the shoes off the horse, which depicts to me the Shires coming in to rest, which goes with the name of the place, Shires Rest. In this picture, this is Gumby Hall's Dovecote, but I loved it because you could see the little glass panes at the side were very similar to my very humble one. So it was interesting to see a local one was similar. This shows the days up on top again, and then looking out over the sunsets and the sunrises, and then looking up to the weather vane again. This is Dave the roofer, putting the slates back on. Again, another bitter cold day, but it is beautiful to be up there and to see the different light as it changes. So finally the tower that was put up for the scaffold to be able to work on the actual slates was gone, and we could actually start work on the bits we couldn't get to before. Looking really smart there. Lots of fog and mist and rain again, but it was starting to feel like we were really getting somewhere. I was busy painting all the time inside. Steve and Dave had been up there working around the base of it, and we was really starting to feel like we could get somewhere. Steve has actually made panels out of the old wood to replace the section at the front that was just too rotten to do anything with. And this just shows the long days climbing up through the rotten floor. In fact, more of the floor started to fall away while I was up there, so it was very precarious. That's showing what it looks like from where I was stood. And some days I was literally stood on boards. I even had a couple of telephone directories there at one time I was balancing on. And then I got a paintbrush and taped it to the end of a pole so I could actually reach the section in the middle. But it was definitely an adventure. And seeing it now, how much lighter it is when it got painted. And what a difference it started to make to the whole feel of the inside as well. So the glass was in, and it actually started to become pleasant working inside because I wasn't getting battered by the weather all the time. And seeing that, I actually worked up there later at night because it was starting to become a more pleasant environment, if you like. And then we were getting near the day where it was finished, the lead work was all finished, and then the scaffold came down, and that felt like the biggest milestone. And there she is, standing proud, weather vane on, fully watertight, looking really, really smart. And of course it rained, and then it rained a bit more, and it carried on raining. The Dovecote steps, we can't go on without talking about them. They had to be removed, but I knew I was going to have to do something with them. So they're going to be my wine rack in the kitchen, I've decided. So as you can see, there they are. I spent an awful long time cleaning them, treating them for woodworm. As you can see, they'd had years and years of build-up of dirt, grime, but that was another project for me. Lots of woodworm treatment and then lots of Osmo oil. And I think they're going to make a really, really smart wine rack in the kitchen. I was putting the finishing touches to the interior, and as you can see, it's starting to look really nice and clean and bright, and I thought I was really getting somewhere. So last coats of paint on, and then Steve could take the floor out for me, and it looked so different, and it was so exciting then to see how this ceiling lantern was going to look for the very first time. You've got to admire this pigeon. I only left the opening open of where we were covering the door up for about 2 seconds and they were in. And look how quickly they're trying to build a nest. Anyway, they were rehomed and then everything was boarded back up again so we could keep on. I was putting another layer of paint up there and we were getting some of the insulation in underneath as well. As you can see, the birds thought it was a great place to sit on top of the weather vane, but thankfully it washes off every time it rains. But then just when you think everything's going well, I got a leak. I honestly thought it was fine. Just a little drop, a little tiny leak, but I felt like we were back to square one again. So I got the chap in from who works on lead welding. As you can see, he did above the beams at the front as well for me. There we go, Lincolnshire Lead Works. And he lead welded the joints at the side, which is quite a skilled thing to do, and then re-leaded all around the bottom. Now, can't go without showing you the northern lights all around the Dovecote, and I just think, I wonder how many times its incarnation has it seen such a beautiful, beautiful sky. And again, I thought this was it, we were finished. And you know that feeling? Perhaps you shouldn't count your chickens because just after we had a storm. In fact, we had 3 storms in a row. So this was actually the morning after, and the rain was pouring through still. In the night when I'd come out to have a look at it, it's like being in a rainfall shower. It was just coming through. This has dried up quite a lot. So I cried. I cried quite a lot about this because it just felt like a step backwards. I had done everything I could. I loved this Dovecote. I loved this building with a passion, and I was getting to my wits' end. But luckily my insurers are amazing, the NFU. They sent out a heritage builder to assess it, and they said it was storm damage. So they were able to go ahead and come up with a plan to repair and get this to the bottom of what the problems was, because it wasn't just one leak, it was lots and lots of little holes, and as we know, water always finds a way. So to stop half the problems ever happening again, all the slates were replaced, the ridge tile replaced, but then they've glazed over the top of the Dovecote for me. From the floor you can't even see it's there, but now I've got an extra layer of insulation and an extra weatherproof layer, and I think it's absolutely amazing. So here we are back to present day, and I'm about to go up that really scary ladder again. It's even scarier because it's not like in 2 levels, and I must admit my heart stops every time. And it's always a relief to make it up here in one piece. As you can see, we've got all the glaze in there, so all I'm doing today is giving a second coat, so the panels that are holding that in. What a fabulous, fabulous day. Such a great view from up here. So lovely. Well, it's my first time climbing over the ridge. A bit scary, but hey, we've made it. So best crack on. Well, I made it. It was very windy up there, as you can probably tell. And it took a bit of a challenge to keep the paint on the paintbrush, but I've done it. And even though I know it won't be seen from the ground, I know now it's had 4 good coats on it, and it's going to last a long time. The back part is north facing, and it really does take a hammering in the winter, and it gets a surprising amount of heat up there as well in the summer. So good job done today.